Taurus 14. Shellfish groping and children playing. Well, crabs running around the beach and children playing with them or something. What are the similarities between crabs and children? And we're talking about the relationship between the individual and the group. Animals behave rather more as groups than individuals do. Some species, like the ant, really identifies itself as an ant colony, a cell of which it is, whereas a person wants to be I and have the community as a backdrop to that. So we're discussing that relationship between self and community, as indeed the Sabian Symbols mostly do. And it comes up with a surprising result, really. The idea here is that the self is supreme. It is the center of reality. And to concern ourselves overmuch with the community is not necessarily the right thing to do. And we're talking about the general need for human evolution. And this is our first imperative. It's the only really authentic thing that we could feel, that survival instinct. Our first attempt to be priority. It's priority. It's first, and that means survival. So the sense in which the community exists for us is as a field of potentiality. We can't even survive alone. We need the community for that. And we certainly can't evolve into the fullest expression of who we are unless there's a community setting. Because the community, by which we mean shopkeepers and suppliers of our essential needs, we can't mine the metal necessary to make knives and forks. So we need the supply chain. That's one part of the community. But another part is that part where we're going to clubs and associations and having friendships and lovers, and these interactions with other people are the triggers by which we become what we are potentially destined to become. So, although we do want to identify ourselves as an aspect of the community, in part, that's not true to the extent that an ant does. We are not simply a cell of a community, and when we die off, somebody replaces us and the community is the same. It's just not like that. We're more than that. This sense we have of self distinguishes us from the ant. And that sense of self is precipitated into the future by a process of evolution. So what is it in our lives that causes us to evolve? What do we need in order to undertake this process of evolution? And essentially that's the challenge that is faced by, most easily, shall we say, by children on the beach, and crabs doing their dance on the beach too. And it's something and nothing. We look at this phenomenon of kids by the shore, and it's just like, well, what are they doing? They're not doing anything. But they are. They're playing. And what are the crabs doing? Well, they're just pottering around looking for a bit of food. Nothing major is happening, but actually the crab is a member of a species which is slowly evolving. And because it's so slow, we can't see it. Because the kids develop through play so very slowly, we can't see it in the moment. But any parent will tell you a week or two passes and the child has another skill, another aspect of their knowledge, another facet of their characters is revealed, and we see that the daily process of play is that which precipitates evolution. In other words, we don't have to go to a school, and we don't have to make it formal. It happens just by normal things going on. As this evolutionary process unfolds, emergence occurs. The individual occasionally emerges out of the group setting to become focus of attention for a little while. Didn't Andy Warhol offer us all 15 minutes of fame, dividing the amount of time available by the number of people? We could all be famous for 15 minutes. And this principle is celebrated here, in that we can all, in our settings at work or in our social life, we can just emerge as the most powerful or the most important or the most celebrated or the one upon whom all the attention is focused for a little while. And we become the hero of the moment, the heroine of the piece, and we do our thing. We do it the best way we can, and we receive community support to raise us up and proclaim our brilliance, our excellence, and so on, just for a moment. And then, if we don't get out of the way, they'll chop us off of the knees and make sure that we don't claim 30 minutes of attention when we only deserve 15. So the community has this functionality of, like the tide, raising some up and then casting them down, so that we find ourselves in the limelight in order that collective attention feeds us when we're on our attempt to move towards greater excellence. In other words, our attempt to emerge from collective sense of community into proclaiming I, individual expression of excellence. Now, a true master does not really try to raise a group. This is contradictory to what actually goes on in the world, and we see people who are called masters teaching very large groups of people, sometimes in India, and generally group workshops and so on in the West, collect a following, and there's a master who leads a group and so on. And that is what will happen. There's no negotiation on that point. That's how it works. And yet, for the master to actually focus on raising the group is refuted in this teaching. The master has the job of self-evolution. Now, each of us holds the role of being a master for the moment. That's our 15 minutes. And if we focus then on the group, on the community needs, and try and raise the community, it's counterproductive. That's not how it works. You can't. All you can do in that position of mastery when you're the teacher is evolve yourself. Move yourself to the highest level of being that you can reach and deliver there. Express your excellence from that position. That will raise the group. But the idea that we can serve a group altruistically is false. That's a delusion. People say they express their spiritual nature through service. And yes, that's what happens because it's good for the individual to serve. But the fact that service occurs is secondary, not primary. The primary impulse of an evolving person is and must be self-service. And the only real service that you can offer yourself is the process of emergence, the passage towards greater and greater self-expression of excellence.